Okay, greetings. My name is Jesse. This is my YouTube channel. Today is the first of, is that correct? No, it's Friday, which is the last of June 30th, 2017. This is going to be a long dissertation, um, and I do believe it's necessary. Excuse me, as I explained before. No, and I didn't bring any cough drops. I believe I had some. Ah, yes. So, what's the problem? First, let us identify the challenge. The challenge is everything that's going on in the world. Here in the United States of America, in Mexico, in Europe, um, Middle Eastern countries, and and why does it look so bad? This is, I mean, the news media in America deliberately lying to discredit the President of the United States of America. And I mean deliberately lying. That's a serious act. That's not, I mean, that's not something small. People in the news media are trying to laugh it off and make it appear that it's not significant or it's not important or that the president is a particular type of person, which it could be. But let's start at the beginning. All societies, and I'm going to work through as I have or meditated and organized it in my mind. I didn't write it down on a tablet or on paper or anything. Just going to work through it. All societies are composed of people. All societies. Okay. A society of monkeys composed of monkeys. But I'm talking about human society. And in that society are diverse philosophies, diverse emotions. People see things, people feel things, and people behave in a particular way. Some of these people have had great financial success. Good for them. Uh, some of these people with great financial success have decided that the way they continue to have the life that they want to have is by controlling the political situation. Julius Caesar was not a great man. He was a man pushed forward by people in the shadows. And they say he accomplished this and he accomplished that, but what he basically ended up doing was listening to the people who were tugging at him. And the same can be said for Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Hitler, Reagan, George Washington. When you get to a position of authority, there's a lot of people who are pulling at you. Some pull you towards the left, some pull you towards the right, some pull you in dead center, but you're getting almost torn apart by everybody's particular interest. But you have business people who want to control politics. And this can be seen in any society. As soon as Adam and Eve had a child, you had the growth of political dynamics. Excuse me. And what's important is that in society, what moves human energy, and we're talking about individuals who compose of society, who are we are all moved in a particular direction by the news that we hear, and what we're learning is that a lot of these news services are not honest. They got their own agenda, and if you're not in line with their agenda, they're going to come and get you. Homosexuality, less than 1% of the human race, but it's a big part of the news media. The quote unquote case or cause of the illegal immigrant, mostly the person who comes in from Mexico, is a big part of the liberal agenda. Obama, a representative of democratic attitude, used to rage negatively against the rich. And then he became rich, and all of a sudden he's living like a rich person. And these are all societal dynamics. That's why I'm talking about it. The business person who has vices and wants to manipulate politics in order to continue to practice his or her vices. And you have some good and decent people in society. And you move from that towards the politician, and again, it's not all bad, there is some good. But a lot of these politicians, whether it be Venezuela, Brazil, Germany, or Japan, believe that they need to serve their corporate masters. So you're moving from business to politicians, and then you have bureaucrats, government employees, who have part of their hands are on the reins of power. Because you have administration setting policy, but somebody has to actually make that policy work. Somebody has to write tickets, somebody has to sell stamps, somebody has to get the mail where it's supposed to go, somebody has to build the bridges. In politics, the dynamic within politics is the same whether it's municipal, county, or state. We could almost say that they're all corrupt because they're not doing what the people want. Now we get to the people. At least for a while, let's talk about the people. And again, people have different ideas, emotions, and those ideas and emotions lead to behaviors. Why does it matter? Because our society is bad. Our human society is sick. Even in the United States of America, where things look relatively okay, they're not. Let me deal with the issue of immigration and what I observe. And it deals, what society do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a society of chaos and anarchy? Or do we want to live in a society that's safe and provides people with the opportunities that they need to fulfill their dreams, their ideas, their sense of life? I spoke of this before, but history tells us that Santa Anna, a general in the Mexican military, was captured by Texans after the Alamo, and he gave away Texas in order to be freed. History, documented, proven. We also know that there was a Mexican-American War, and the Americans won. And that led to the increase of territory for Americans. And it's important because a lot of people think that the corrupt American government defrauded them, obtained California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico through lies, through brute force. No, wars were fought, and America won the war. Now, this is important because right now, today, in the city that I live in, as I conduct business, I see a lot of people from Mexico who display their animosity towards me because they think I'm white. And let me clearly state again, I don't fly the Hispanic flag. I don't salute the Hispanic flag. Basically because of politics. As I wrote articles, as I produced videos, I realized that there is a philosophy that is dangerous, destroys societies, and that's negativity. The best example I can give is I was watching a movie, and one of the characters constantly criticizing things negatively. Coaches suck, teachers suck. Those cliques in the high schools, the Sochi suck. The chess club sucks. The French club sucks. Every time the person was confronted with something, it sucked. And that's being negative. And that has no positive contribution to any society. Not only does it not have a positive contribution to any society, it has no positive contribution to the individual's life. And society is composed of individuals. And the people coming from Mexico, very negative, raised in a culture of lawlessness. They have found a way to justify their criminal behavior, and they believe that they are right. The people at CNN, New York Times, others who were deliberately lying to the people, they were wrong. But they thought they were right. A murderer thinks he's right. A rapist thinks he's right. A thief thinks he's right. Society will improve if people improve. What are the chances that the people of Mexico will improve? I was thinking about this. What would have to change for Mexico to become a better country? What needs to change for Mexico to become a better country is for the people of Mexico to become better people. Yes, the politicians and the business people, even and the criminals, hold a lot of power. They do, without question. However, who lets them abuse their power? And that's the lesson that needs to be learned. Who's responsible? In El Paso, Texas, the government of the municipality has been behaving very irresponsible. They have spent money on a baseball park, $100 million. They have spent money on a trolley car, $100 million. They have spent. They're going to spend $190 million on some kind of arena. Nobody here knows exactly what this arena is going to do, what's it going to be used for. They approved a quote-unquote Olympic-style swimming pool for $200 million. And as all of these things, a cable car. That's what I was going to say when I said trolley car, I meant cable car. But through all of these expenditures, we come to learn that there isn't enough police officers to properly patrol the city, which is it's failure to recognize priorities. And it is important because, yes, it's the morally bankrupt politicians who are doing it, but where are the people? Why are the people not enraged? And this is the society we live in today. People no longer appreciate good morals, good ethics, good values, good principles. We're living in a society where, you know, it's all of us are tearing at society, bringing it down, breaking it down. You know, it. Donald Trump gets elected, low taxes, low national debt, reining in irresponsible government spending, formulating a cooperative, a partnership, an equal partnership with other nations of the world to fight terrorism because it affects all of us, doing away with regulations that are harmful to businesses, especially small businesses. And I can speak on that issue with some authority because as a taxi driver in El Paso, Texas, I was subjected to numerous regulations from the city government that interfered in my ability to conduct business. And that's what happens. People who don't run businesses, people who are not in the businesses that they are regulating, end up harming businesses with their so-called regulations. Why is it important? Because we're either going to fall or we're going to stand. America's going to fall or America's going to stand. But America can only stand if her people are good and decent and morally righteous people. People who can live their lives taking care of themselves, being responsible. It is irresponsible to have children you cannot afford to have. It's irresponsible to live a life of chaos. I can understand where life beats people up. I know this. I know life beats people up. It attacks people. It victimizes people. I understand this. But we have to be better than those invisible forces that we don't see, but take a shot at us every chance they get. And it is not over. We still exist. And do we contribute to a better society? Do we leave something good for the children of the future? Or do we just continue in our own personal challenge and disregard what's going on around us? What basically has been bothering me is obvious. It's a stupid attitude. A stupid attitude from the people from Mexico, stupid attitude from liberals. They don't know who Donald J. Trump is. I know his policies. I don't know his actual marriage, and I have no right to judge his marriage. It's none of my business. And I did a video where I went through what people believe they have against him. In reality, what he said about the people of Mexico was not insulting, was not offensive, because he didn't say it about all people of Mexico. I paid attention. I listened. What he said about that judge, he's right. All people are subject to their cultural values. Here we have a case where Donald Trump is being investigated, but he's being investigated by the best friend of the person he apparently, in some way, um, mistreated. And I don't care what kind of person you think you are, you're a human being. I don't see how this Mueller person, Mueller, or whatever his name is, I don't see how he can claim absolute integrity. Because he's got an allegiance, he's got a relationship. He wants to maintain that allegiance and relationship with Comey. So to say that this individual can be trusted to be absolutely 100% honest, I'd have to question that. It's a person who should not have been put in the position that he was put in to investigate the president. And what we're learning is that not only is there no evidence, but there's more evidence that the Democrats were violating their powers of authority. Obama and people in Obama's administration were using their office to violate the rights of individuals, to spy on individuals. They are members of society. They are behaving dishonorable. They're behaving with no morality. No, they're behaving with a morality, but it's a poor morality. It's a bad morality. They are behaving with ethics, but there are bad ethics. And they are members of society. And there's a whole bunch of people who happen to believe that what Obama and company were doing is appropriate. The American people voted. And the American people chose their president according to the rules of elections in America, the Electoral College. It is conceivable that if Hillary Clinton had won with the Electoral College, but not the popular vote, they would not have complained about it. But we're talking about people and how I personally contribute to a bad society with my anger, with my rage, with my dirty looks, with my driving behavior. Do I drive while I'm intoxicated? And the answer to the question is no. But there are people who do. Am I a member of a gang? No, I'm not. Do I paint walls with my graffiti? No, I don't. And all of this is bad for society. The people from Mexico violating American borders is bad for society. It's bad for Mexico and it's bad for the United States of America. And the sad part about it is that many of us want to correct the error, but we're being treated as if we're the problem. If I believe in what's right, how can I be the problem? If I believe in doing what's right, how can I be the problem? I see it constantly, and it's just bugging the heck out of me. Irresponsible people. People who mistreat others and who don't fulfill their responsibilities. I see it and see. I have to now and then interact with city employees. Arrogance. They're right, no matter what. I was having a conversation with something that calls itself a taxi inspector, telling him he had no right to search me. The Fourth Amendment of the United States of America gives me the protection against unreasonable search and seizure of my person and my documents. Not only could this government employee not understand that, he needs to cop a little attitude like a baby who was just told no and needs to throw a tantrum. I have a moral obligation to correct those who want to violate my rights for myself, for the benefit of myself, for the benefit of others, and for the benefit of society. But I see a lot of nonsense, a lot of craziness, a lot of stupidity, and it's bugging me. A lot of people who speak as if they are voices of authority, and they're nothing but stupid people. They haven't done anything. They didn't get a university degree. They didn't build a business. They didn't even figure out how to have a YouTube channel. But they're smarter than everybody else. And what they say, it should be the law of the land. And we're all supposed to live according to what they say. We're all supposed to get out of their way as they're speeding down the road. Why do we want to turn society over to stupid people? Why do we want to turn society over to people who have a bad attitude, who are violent, who are aggressive? It is a choice. Will we stand back and allow society to be destroyed? Allow the United States of America to be destroyed? Barack Hussein Obama did a lot of harm to this country. That man should really just shut up. He doesn't realize what he did to this country. Why is he offering an opinion? I was listening to somebody. This is how badly informed people are. The name, and again, I've mentioned this person before. The name of the person is Doug Stephan. He has a radio show, I believe it's called Good Day. And he was going through the increase to the national debt. And this is how misinformed people are. Many people believe that because at the end of the Clinton administration, there was a surplus, that meant, or that means, that the federal government did not have any debt. That's wrong. You had a fiscal year surplus. When little Bill Clinton left office, the federal government, really the taxpayers, still had a debt of $5.5 trillion. There was a surplus, but that was a fiscal year surplus. Now, granted, I was living my own life, and back then I didn't know that, and I had to research it, and okay. Clinton leaves with $5.5 trillion in debt. Leaves us $5.5 trillion in debt. George Bush comes into office. In his 8 years, he adds $3 trillion. Mr. Barack Hussein Obama added $11.5 trillion. To this day, I'm surprised people who I hold in high regard are talking about the numbers and getting the numbers wrong. If Clinton left with $5.5 trillion of national debt and George W. Bush added $3 trillion, that's $8.5 trillion. When Obama left office, he left $20 trillion in national debt. You do the numbers, you subtract 8.5 from 20 trillion, and you get 11.5 trillion. That's what Obama added to the national debt. And people have said this, people have mentioned this to me, and he didn't have the 2 wars that George W. Bush had, which he didn't. The majority of the cost of military operations in Afghanistan and Iraq were invading and holding. Obama used to brag that he got the troops out of Iraq. No, Mr. Cheney and Mr. Bush, the last 6 months of Bush's administration, they negotiated status of forces agreement with Iraq and Afghanistan. And those status of forces agreements were what was responsible for the withdrawal of troops from Iraq and Afghanistan. But why are people so misinformed? A person who has a nationally syndicated talk show can be so misinformed? I don't think so. I think it's more faking that the person doesn't know. But it matters because Doug Stephan, Glenn Beck, Laura Ingraham, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, all of them shape attitude in their listeners' minds. And either we're healthy people contributing to a healthy society, or we're unhealthy people contributing to an unhealthy society. Well, we could be both. Sometimes we're good and sometimes we're bad. The reality is it matters. I have no emotions, none, zero whatsoever, tied to the people of Mexico. I was born in the country. My mother and father were Mexican. I'm not going to bother not to try to call. I got a lot of my work ethic from my mom. Just basic worker, just like me. And I don't agree with anything that the Mexican people agree with. They're wrong in thinking that America still belongs to them. It doesn't. Not only that, nothing that the Americans made was here 200 years ago. At the time the Mexicans were squatting on the dirt, there were no Walmarts, no public schools, no public hospitals, no post office, no construction sites to work on, no horse ranches to work on. If you compare 200 years of American history with 200 years of Mexican history, Americans have accomplished a whole lot more in 200 years than the people of Mexico. And that's with both groups having the same resources. Lumber, seafood, metals, oil, universities, intelligent citizens, having the same amount of resources. But it's obvious that a lot of Americans put their energy into building something good, whereas the people of Mexico put their energy into destroying their society. I live in El Paso, Texas. I know exactly what has happened to Mexico. The people of Mexico will not admit what they've done to their own country. And for the most part, those who are harming America, they won't admit what they've done to America. But we are the problem. And sometimes I want to stop and when I say we are the problem, because I'm not the problem. I've written over 800 articles. I've posted YouTube videos. I've tried to inform people. When my customers start talking stupid stuff, I do the best to correct them and to correct them in a respectful manner, educating them on why it is important that the delicate balance in the relationship between the governed and the governing must be maintained. And I get a lot of childish, just stupid commentary. Let's call it what it is. It's just no adult. What I was hearing during the Trump campaign against Hillary Clinton for the presidency, really healthy adults shouldn't be saying stupid stuff like that. To this day, I can't find one liberal that wants to argue with me who can tell me one policy of Hillary Clinton. And it matters because we're either going to be morally upright, ethical people who are responsible for our own lives, pay attention to what the politicians are doing, and hold them accountable, or we're going to find something else to do while society falls. Right now, the way that those dark forces are attacking America is through illegal immigration. It's through immigration from Muslim countries. It's through, excuse me, what people are calling the deep state. Bureaucrats, government employees, deliberately working against the president. Paul Ryan's not a friend or a cooperative partner to Donald Trump. Neither is Mitch McConnell. And there's a whole lot of people in the House of Representatives and the Senate who are Republicans who want to see Trump fail. And they understand clearly that they're not just fighting Trump, but they're fighting Trump supporters. You know, we can't just keep going on with our simple lives. We can't wake up and go through our routine of shower and getting dressed and maybe eating a meal and going to wherever it is we make money, and then coming home and relaxing, watching some television or something on the internet, and yelling at the computer or the television as we watch this craziness. We are in serious crisis. We are at war. I don't know if we realize that we are at war. More is going to be required. You know, the last point I want to make is and it directly relates to what I've been talking about. There's a lot of people who have I'm going to say, a screw you Jesus attitude. They don't need God. They don't need Jesus. They figured it out. They know everything. And with that arrogance, with that indignation, they're going to walk right into hell. With that arrogance and with that indignation, all those horrible, evil, negative people are going to walk right into the destruction of the United States of America. And you're losing. You're not building anything good. You're not standing up for the people you say you stand up for. If you destroy the country, there's no resources for the poor. There's no resources for those people you say need assistance that apparently I'm supposed to pay for, and every hardworking member of the public is supposed to pay for. You're not looking at the person who's poor and asking them why are they poor and what are they going to do to stop being poor. You're not asking those questions. All you're doing is demanding. Liberals are demanding that I pay for all those people who have made a mess of their lives. Excuse me. But it's the same. We believe we're right. And because we believe we're right, we do what we do. A murderer knows he's murdering. A rapist knows that he's raping. And strangely enough, a person with a bad attitude towards Jesus Christ knows they have a bad attitude and has fear and trepidation of the wrath of God. So it isn't, they're not all that confident in their arrogant indignation, but it has a high price for society. All of this negative. Somebody's got to tell me what's the negative on lowering taxes. Somebody has and it's not lowering taxes for the rich, it's lowering taxes for everybody. Somebody has to tell me what is the negative of reining in irresponsible government spending. Somebody has to tell me what the negative is of lowering the national debt. Somebody has to tell me what the negative is for all the countries in the world of good and decent free people to work together to stop terrorism. Somebody has to tell me the negative of taking away regulations that cost money and don't have any real benefit to society. I believe in I want to be protected. I don't want to walk down a store and have some light fixture fall on my head and injure me or kill me. Sure, there needs to be some regulation. But the majority of it is done because there are lobbyists, special interest groups, people whose profession it is to convince politicians to write regulations. So what society do we want to live in? I want to live in a society where the people of Mexico respect America and stop violating America's borders. I want to live in a society where gang members grow a conscience, realize they're victimizing people, and stop committing crimes. I want to live in a society where those addicted to drugs stop ruining their lives and stop ruining other people's lives. I got a degree in psychology and I respect people with mental health issues. But there's people who are just enjoying the party. And they don't care who they hurt. They don't care about me, they don't care about you. You know, I want to live in a society where personal, responsible people take care of their lives without harming others. I would like to go conduct business at peace. I just came through something, I'm going through something that is it is costing me money. I was partnered with a taxi company, and the ownership of this taxi company decided that it was a good idea to operate without commercial vehicle insurance. That puts me in a very precarious position. Not something I did. It was something I was made to confront. And it's costing me money, and it's interfering with my ability to earn money. Because of somebody else. Some immoral person, some unethical person. I, as a taxi driver, I'm in serious jeopardy because this company decides to operate without commercial vehicle insurance. But so are the members of society. I want to live in a society where people are responsible and do what they're supposed to do and stop whining and crying about how bad life is and stop justifying their poor behaviors because they feel life is victimizing them. Life victimizes everybody. End of story. Life victimizes everybody. If you let it, it will beat you. If you fight back, you might win. If you don't fight back, then you are going to lose. Therefore, you have no choice but to fight back. unless you just want to lose. And a lot of people have decided that they just want to lose at the game in life, but they want to lose at the game in life and they want to take down the rest of us. Yeah, it bothers me what the people of Mexico are doing to this country. I don't see it as a they're getting even and they're justified in getting even. They know they're committing crimes. Every person coming into this country from Mexico illegally knows they're breaking the law. Doesn't seem to bother them. So we want to live in a society with rules, with quality regulations, quality laws. I am so tired of the attitude of police officers in this city. I don't need to call them. I don't want to call them. I'm outside, my business it's outside, and I see things. I see people who need assistance. I have to call them. You confront these arrogant jerks. Your life is in danger. If you're living in El Paso, Texas, waiting for the police to show up to save your life, they are not going to show up to save your life. And if you don't start realizing that you have to do what you have to do to take care of yourself, you might end up being victimized by criminals. You can't keep being distracted by your little electronic devices or by your I don't want to pay attention attitude. You may not want to pay attention, but you have to pay attention because either you live scorched earth for the children of the future or you leave them something they can use to build a life. Paul Ryan needs to leave the House of Representatives, and a lot of people like him need to leave. Mr. Mitch McConnell needs to leave. But the people of America needs to force him out. It's tragic, all the negativity, all the foolishness, all the stupidity, all the people actively engaged in taking sledgehammers at the foundation of America. It bugs me, it insults me, it offends me. Again, stupid people talking as if they are authorities. Anybody spewing the garbage that comes out of Nancy Pelosi's mouth is not an authority on